Hello, and thank you for standing by for JD.com's first quarter 2021 earnings conference call. At this time, all participants are in listen-only mode. After management's prepared remarks, there will be a question and answer session. Today's conference is being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. I would now like to turn the meeting over to your host for today's conference, Ruiyu Li.
Thank you, operator, and welcome to our first quarter 2021 earnings conference call. Joining me on the call today are Mr. Lei Xu, CEO of JD Retail, and Sandy Xu, our CFO. For today's agenda, our CEO of JD Retail, Mr. Xu, will share his thoughts on the Q1 performance, followed by our CFO, Sandy, who will discuss the financial highlights for the first quarter 2021. Both Lei and Sandy will join the Q&A session. Before we continue, I refer you to our safe harbor statement in the earnings press release, which applies to this call, as we will make forward-looking statements. Also, this call includes discussions of certain non-GAAP financial measures. Please refer to our earnings release, which contains a reconciliation of non-GAAP measures to the most directly comparable GAAP measures. Finally, please note, unless otherwise stated, all figures mentioned during this conference call are in RMB. Now, I would like to turn the call over to our CEO of JD Retail, Mr. Lei.
谢谢瑞玉，各位投资者和分析师大家好，我是京东零售 CEO 徐磊，感谢参加京东集团2021年第一季度业绩电话会。
Thank you, Ruiyu. Hello, everyone. This is Lei Xu, CEO of JD Retail. Thank you for joining us on this quarter's earnings call today.
今年是京东集团成立的18周年，18年来，实属中国实体经济和数字经济深度融合的核心地带，我们一直面临很多挑战和机遇。京东打造了独特的商业模式，其核心理念是极致的用户体验为本，成本优化，效率至上，这也是我们的核心竞争优势。京东坚持的正道商业价值观和独有的商业模式，让我们赢得了越来越多的用户和合作伙伴的信任，也让京东保持了穿越经济周期的韧性和抗风险的能力。大家可以看到，在此基础之上，京东现在的业务逻辑正在变得更加开放，我们正在加大对外赋能，在成功经受住挑战的同时，抓住长期成长的机遇。在此，我想从3个方面和大家讨论一下京东零售在过去1个季度取得的一些重要进展。
This year marks the 18th anniversary of the establishment of JD.com. In the past 18 years, at the heart of the deep integration of China's real economy and digital economy, we have faced many opportunities and challenges. JD has created a unique business model whose core philosophy for success is about providing the superior customer experience, cost optimization, and operational efficiency. These pursuits also constitute our core competitive advantages. Our long-held business principle of doing the right things and our unique business model have helped us to win greater trust from our users and partners, while enabling us to stay resilient through economic cycles and weather all risks. As you can see, based on this, JD's business logistics has become increasingly open. We're enhancing our capacities to empower others, not only rising to the challenges we face, but also seizing opportunities for long-term growth. Here, I would like to share some key progresses that JD Retail achieved in the past quarter from the following 3 aspects.
1、业务和用户保持高质量增长。京东零售在第一季度里保持了收入的快速增长，而且同时运营效率和利润率还在不断提升。CFO Sandy 会为大家详细分析，这为我们今年后面几个季度打下了坚实的基础。不仅如此，让我们更加感到鼓舞的是，在充满挑战的市场环境中，众多供应商和合作伙伴也通过与京东的合作，实现了他们业务规模和利润率的健康可持续增长。
First, high quality growth of business and users. JD Retail's revenues maintained high growth in the first quarter, with continued improvement in both operating efficiency and profit margins. Our CFO Sandy will elaborate on this later. This lays a solid foundation for our businesses in the following quarters. We are even more encouraged to see that many of our suppliers and partners achieved healthy and sustainable business growth and profitability expansion in the challenging market environment through their partnership with JD.
业绩快速增长的背后，我们更关注高质量活跃用户群体的增长。京东年活跃购买用户在4月1日迈过了5亿的里程碑，截止一季度末，京东年活跃用户数取得了29%的同比增速。在过去1年里新增了1.12亿的活跃用户，超过80%的新增用户来自于下沉市场。同时，京东所打造的独特的消费者心智和更好的购物体验的优势愈发明显，促进用户在京东平台上展现出越来越高的活跃度。在一季度里，我们看到新老用户的留存率、购物频次、购买品类的宽度以及用户平均消费金额都获得了全面提升。这说明京东的用户数和用户的生命周期价值都在不断提升，我们还有很大的增长空间。
Coupled with robust operating performance, we are also inspired by the growth of our high-quality active users. By April 1st, the number of our annual active users reached the 500 million mark. By the end of Q1, annual active users grew by 29% year-on-year. In the past 12 months, we gained 112 million new active users, with over 80% coming from lower-tier markets. Meanwhile, our unique consumer mindshare for quality products and superior shopping experience resonates strongly with our customers as we see higher engagement from them. In the first quarter, we have seen all-around improvement in terms of existing and new users' retention rates, shopping frequency, purchases in a wider range of product categories, as well as average spending per user. This shows that both the number of users and their lifetime value on JD's platform are expanding. We still have much room to grow.
2. 平台生态建设。这个季度里，我们看到京东零售的开放平台建设也取得很好的成绩。泡芙平台业务的增速快于自营业务，服饰、美妆品类增速更是达到3年新高。而且我们平台生态也越来越丰富。我们不仅在长尾品类上取得了长足进步，像家电和快消品这些原来自营占比比较高的品类，今年的泡芙平台模式也在加速增长。随着我们平台生态不断改善，消费者心智在不断加强。
Second, online marketplace ecosystem. JD Retail's online marketplace business also made meaningful progress during this quarter. The growth rate of our online marketplace business exceeded our 1P business. Our online marketplace ecosystem also becomes increasingly abundant. In particular, the growth rate of apparels and beauty categories reached a 3-year high. Moreover, not only have we made significant progress in long-tail categories, but also categories such as home appliances and FMCG that are JD's 1P advantaged categories also showed accelerated 3P growth. With the development of our online marketplace ecosystem, its positioning in the consumer's mindshare will continue to be enhanced.
我上个电话会上讲过，开放平台一直是京东还有很大挖掘空间的模式。过去几年我们始终在努力，现在已建立了较好的平台生态基础。今年伊始，不仅原有商家的续签率和活跃度有大幅提升，第三方平台品牌丰富度也明显提升。年初至今，越来越多的国内国际头部品牌和商家选择与京东合作，包括九芝堂、星巴克、迪卡侬、凌志时装集团旗下的众多品牌等等，纷纷入驻京东。
As I mentioned on our last earnings call, the online marketplace ecosystem has always been an area of huge potential for JD. With several years of continued efforts, we have now established a sound foundation. Since the beginning of the year, we have seen meaningful improvement in existing merchants' renewal rates and their engagement level, as well as significant increased variety of brands and merchants available on our platform. This year, we have welcomed more and more leading brands and merchants from home and abroad to JD's platform, including Jiuzhitang, Starbucks, Decathlon, and a suite of fashion brands under Bestseller Group and more.
我们也通过不断的模式创新与更多的品牌展开合作，比如京东与路易威登联手推出了创新的奢侈品电商合作模式，为消费者打造了一个提供品牌全部最新商品的电商直选平台，从而补充奢侈品线上消费的应用场景，进一步提升京东用户奢侈品线上消费的体验，推动了中国奢侈品行业的创新。
We also continue to collaborate with more brand partners through innovative models. For example, JD and Louis Vuitton launched an innovative collaboration in April with a groundbreaking online luxury shopping model that provides consumers with direct access to the brand's latest collections. It supplements luxury consumption scenarios currently available online, helps to further enhance JD's users' luxury shopping experience, and promotes further innovation of the luxury industry in China.
这些成功的案例在不断证明京东提供给品牌商家的独特价值，而且也起到了很好的示范效应。随着整个中国零售行业正在向更加良性的趋势发展，我们预计将会有越来越多不同品类的品牌和商家入驻京东。今年京东618正逢我们18周年庆，我们计划帮助230个以上的品牌实现销售破亿。我们也在不断的创新，持续开拓适合京东开放生态的模式和策略。
All of these successful cases demonstrate JD's ability to provide unique value for our brands and merchants and serve as great examples for more business partners. With China's retail industry continuing to develop in a more beneficial direction, we expect more and more brands and merchants in all categories will come to JD's platform. The upcoming June 18th Grand Promotion marks the 18th anniversary of JD.com. We plan to help more than 230 brands achieve over 100 million RMB in sales. Looking ahead, we will continue to innovate and explore various models that best suits JD's online marketplace ecosystem.
3. 全渠道战略进展。如今来自外部环境和竞争对手的变化，验证了京东零售推出全渠道战略的正确性，也更加坚定了我们的信心。事实上，京东零售现在的业务模式已经远远超越了线上 B2C 的电商模式。我们在探索全渠道领域上具有独特优势，通过将我们先进的供应链管理能力、数字化运营和整合营销的能力运用到不同的场景里。京东零售正在协同供应商和合作伙伴，建立一个适应市场不断变化的、高效满足消费者线上线下多场景、多样化、即时购物和享受服务需求的业务模式。例如，我们在积极的与抖音、快手、知乎等头部流量生态展开合作，在线上多元化场景里，不仅为我们的业务和合作伙伴输出我们强大的供应链中台，而且也高效地提供着全渠道营销和全域用户资产管理的赋能。在这一过程中，我们在越来越多元化的零售行业里实现了货的统一和人的统一，从而实现成本效率和用户体验的进一步优化。
Third, omnichannel continues to advance. The challenges coming from the external environment and competitors these days all have validated JD Retail's forward-looking omnichannel strategy. In fact, JD Retail's current business model has already evolved far beyond an online B2C e-commerce model. Therefore, it's uniquely positioned in exploring the omnichannel field, leveraging our state-of-the-art supply chain management, digital operation, and integrated marketing capacities. In various consumption scenarios, JD Retail is collaborating with suppliers and partners to build an adaptive model that can efficiently serve various types of consumer demands in any scenarios, anywhere and anytime. For instance, we're actively collaborating with leading traffic ecosystems such as Douyin, Kuaishou, Zhihu, and more in diversified online consumption scenarios, and provide our business partners with our strong supply chain middle platform capacities, omnichannel marketing, and across-the-board user asset management solutions. In this process, we achieved the unification of products and people in the increasingly diversified retail industry, propelling further optimization of cost efficiency and user experience.
未来，京东零售的理想是卖全天下的货和去全天下卖货。
JD Retail's vision is to sell goods from all over the world and to sell all kinds of goods to the world.
总体来说，作为京东集团的核心业务，即便面对诸多挑战，即便过去的1年里实现了加速增长，即便还在为打开增量市场空间而做着长期的投入和战略布局，但伴随着我们品类和收入结构进一步多元化，京东零售将继续努力在2021年全年保持高速健康的增长势头， 为京东集团的发展提供最稳定的业务基础。
To conclude, despite all the challenges facing us right now, the accelerated growth we achieved last year and the long-term investments we are making to expand the total addressable market, JD Retail, as the core business of JD.com, will continue to strive for high-end healthy growth in 2021 and serve as the cornerstone for JD.com's overall development.
以上是我今天和大家的分享，下面我把话筒交给京东集团 CFO Sandy。
This concludes my remarks. I'll now give the floor to our CFO, Sandy.
Thank you, Lei. Hello, everyone. We are excited to get off to a flying start in 2021 with robust operating and financial performance in the first quarter. As Lei pointed out, our unique business philosophy and model allow us to embrace innovations and take advantage of structural changes that are taking place in China. Before going through the financial results, I will touch upon a few highlights from the first quarter. This year marks the 18th year since the launch of JD.com. Along the way, we have been able to build a comprehensive set of supply chain, fulfillment and technology capabilities to serve customers and business partners. Our business model has evolved from being the largest retail company in China by revenue to a supply chain-based technology and service provider. We are rolling a snowball on a very long slope and continue to gain momentum. Some of these capacities that we have been building for years are turning into promising growth opportunities and achieving important milestones. And a number of our younger businesses are seeing exciting developments and rapid iteration. At this stage, the most notable among them include, first, JD Logistics, which has published its prospectus on May the 17th and expects to list on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange on May the 28th, 2021. Second, JD Property, which completed its Series A preferred share financing by end of Q1. Third, our international businesses that grew triple digits in Q1. And fourth, our Jingxi business, which aims to synchronize our efforts and resources in lower tier markets. To help the investors better understand the different growth trajectories of our expanding business lines and how they are evaluating from the management's perspective, starting from Q1 2021, we restructured our segment presentation. The changes in segment reporting mainly include, first, JD Logistics is presented as a standalone segment. Its revenues include revenues generated from both JD Retail and external customers from JD Group's perspective. The eliminations at the group level are presented in the line of net revenue intersegment. Second, operating results of JD Property and Jingxi business, which includes our social e-commerce platform Jingxi, convenience store business Jingxi Tong, and community group purchase business Jingxi Pinpin, have been carved out from the JD Retail segment and are reported under the new businesses segment. As a result of these changes, we now report three main segments, namely JD Retail, JD Logistics, and New Businesses. New Businesses segment primarily include JD Property, Jingxi business, international business, JD Cloud and AI business. The prior period segment information has been retrospectively revised to conform to the current period presentation, and these changes have no impact on our consolidated results. On another note, as the transaction with JD Technology, formerly known as JD Digits, was completed on March 31st, 2021, we deconsolidated the cloud and AI business starting from March 31st, 2021. The updated segment presentation reflects not only our current organization structure, but also the different development stages of various business lines. JD Retail's revenues grew 35% year-on-year to 186 billion RMB in Q1. This is a robust growth on top of our relatively higher base compared to the industry in Q1 2020, as we largely maintained operations during the COVID outbreak.
That said, internally, we evaluate our retail business performance by looking at the 2-year CAGR, i.e., the compound growth rate of our businesses in Q1 2021 over Q1 2019, which smooths out the disruption caused by the pandemic, therefore better depicts the underlying growth momentum of our businesses. Our core JD Retail business clearly remains in a buoyant growth trajectory. After 18 years of operation, with a 27% 2-year CAGR of revenues in Q1, nearly doubled the growth rate of China's total online retail sales of goods over the same period. We continue to see successful category expansion. General merchandise revenues recorded 36 year-on-year growth and a 2-year CAGR of 37% in Q1 2021, continuing the strong momentum on top of the high growth in Q1 last year, boosted by the structural pickup in demand and enhanced consumer mindshare of JD general merchandise categories. This was led by our supermarket, healthcare, home product, and cosmetics categories. Our electronics and home appliance revenues increased 34% year-on-year and a 2-year CAGR of 21% during Q1, a clear recovery from last year and continuing to significantly outperform the industry. More notably, the fast revenue growth of our core retail business was accompanied by even faster profit growth. The operating profit of JD Retail grew 45% year-on-year and a 2-year CAGR of 46% in Q1, considerably outpacing its revenue growth during the same periods in spite of intense competition. Operating margin of JD Retail improved by 27 basis points year-on-year and reached 4.0% in Q1, driven by increased fulfilled gross margin and technology-led operating leverage. This was the second highest operating margin level of JD Retail in our history, only slightly below 4.2% achieved in Q3 2020 with the Social Security benefit. Once again, we continue to maintain margin improvement even as our product mix shift towards the high frequency but small ticket size consumer staple categories that are yet to fully realize earnings potential. All in all, while maintaining healthy growth, our core retail business is well on track to expand margins over the long term. Our JD Logistics business, JDL, is at a high secular growth stage, while it continues to invest in infrastructure and capacities to expand its total addressable market and drive future growth. JDL's revenues reached 22 billion RMB in Q1, with year-on-year growth accelerated to a historical high of 64% from 34% in Q1 2020, and a 2-year CAGR was 48%. Starting second half of 2020, JDL started to reinvest the benefit from Social Security reduction and other supportive measures by the government it received in logistics infrastructure and technologies to expand market potential. As a result, its operating loss ratio widened to 6.6% in Q1 from 3.1% in the same quarter last year. JD Logistics currently operates over 1,000 warehouses with an aggregate gross floor area of over 21 million square meters. Under the new businesses segment, we recorded fast growth across the board from all sub-business lines during the quarter. Total revenues of new businesses grew 56% year-on-year to 5 billion RMB in Q1 on an apple-to-apple comparable basis, with a 2-year CAGR of 42%. As we are seeing many exciting developments, our new businesses are in very early stage of incubating that require investments. In Q1, we invested and incurred 2.3 billion operating loss in new businesses, compared to an operating loss of 1.4 billion RMB in the same period last year, mainly due to our investments in the newly formed Jingxi Business Group. Jingxi Business's day one mission is to serve price-sensitive consumers and business partners in lower-tier markets and create value to the society through leveraging JD's technology and supply chain capacity, as well as fulfillment infrastructure. That said, in the first quarter of operation, Jingxi Pinpin's services have covered 17 provinces, recording rapid order volume growth by offering differentiated user experiences. We are committed to driving forward our strategies to serve the lower-tier markets under Jingxi brand. Now, turning to a traditional review of our financial performance. Total net revenues grew 39% year-on-year and 29.5% two-year CAGR to 203 billion RMB in Q1. It is worth highlighting that our net service revenues growth reached 73% year-on-year, highest growth rate in the last 5 years. The two-year CAGR of net service revenues in Q1 was 50%, significantly outpacing the 27 two-year CAGR of net product revenues during the same period. This is mainly driven by the triple-digit year-on-year growth of JD Logistics external revenue and over 60% year-on-year growth of our advertising revenue in Q1. As a result, net service revenues contributed 13.7% of our total revenues in Q1, up from 11% a year ago and 10.3% in Q1 2019, boding well for our diversifying revenue growth potential. Our non-GAAP operating margin was 1.7% in Q1, 50 basis points lower year-on-year. This was largely a result of our continued investments in new capacities of JD Logistics, and to a lesser extent, our investment in new businesses, namely Jingxi, Cloud, and AI. Non-GAAP net income attributable to ordinary shareholders was 4.0 billion RMB, with non-GAAP net margin remained stable year-over-year at 2.0%. Even as we resumed marketing efforts and increased investments in our logistics and the new businesses opportunities to position for the long term. It's worth highlighting that we continue to generate operating efficiency and further shortened our inventory turnover days to 31.2 days in the last 12 months, while we expand the total number of SKUs directly managed by us under the 1P model, which exceeded 8 million in Q1 2021. As of March 31st, cash equivalents, restricted cash, and short-term investments added up to a total of 139 billion RMB. Our free cash flow for Q1 was an outflow of 9.7 billion RMB, as compared to an outflow of 3.0 billion RMB a year ago. Besides the seasonality factor, decreased quarterly free cash flow was also due to our early payments or prepayments to certain suppliers to secure some sought-after merchandises, especially amid a global shortage of supply of consumer electronics components and increase of CapEx in the quarter. And free cash flow for trailing 12 months was 28 billion RMB, up from 15 billion RMB a year ago. Lastly, we repurchased approximately 10 million ADS for approximately $800 million year to date, under the $2 billion share repurchase program approved by the board in March 2020. In summary, we managed to continue our strong user and top-line growth momentum with diversified growth drivers, maintained solid bottom-line performance, while continuing to invest for the long term. Once again, we demonstrated the resilience of our unique business model. With the robust performance of our core business and our long-term approach of building core competence with new businesses, JD is at a position of strength. That concludes my prepared remarks. Let's now move on to Q&A. Thank you.
The question and answer session of this conference call will start in a moment. In order to be fair to all callers who wish to ask questions, we will take one question at a time from each caller. If you have more than one question, please request to join the question queue after your first question has been addressed. At this time, if you wish to ask a question, you will need to press star 1 on your telephone. To withdraw your question, please press the pound or hash key. Please stand by while we compile the Q&A roster. Your first question comes from Eddie Leong from Bank of America Merrill Lynch. Please ask your question.
Good evening， 晚上好。我先用中文问，然后我可能再 translate 吧。有两个问题想请教管理团队。第一个是看见这个惊喜天天的一个投入，所以想问一问看你们可以跟我们分享一下，你们怎么看这一个所谓传渠道或是一个所谓新零售跟这个社区团购的一个竞争环境，特别是我们京东除了好像大家的都是用一个便宜的价钱以外，有什么样的一个竞争的一个优势哈？这个是第一个问题。另外一个就是想问一下这个quarter，听你们讲就是一些比较大家电啊，这些比较贵价的一个产品有一个蛮好的增长。可是另外一方面也听你们讲，就是一些 FMCG 啊、超级市场这一些所谓small ticket item 的比较便宜一点的一些产品，也是有一个蛮快的增长。所以想问一问，特别第一个季度我们平均那个单价大概有什么样的变化？因为感觉上这好像有一些大的比较贵价的产品增长蛮快，也有一些比较低价的产品也增长蛮快。So I have two questions. The first one is about omni-channel strategy. So we'd like to hear from the management team about their thought on the competitive environment, as well as the differentiation of JD in community group buy and new retail. And then secondly, just want to get a sense on the average order size, because we know that in the first quarter, the growth of large ticket items such as home appliances had very strong growth. But on the other hand, we continue to see the growth of small ticket items like JD Supermarket and grocery. So these are my two questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Eddie. This is Sandy. Maybe let me take the Jingxi related question first, and Shirley can comment on the omni-channel strategy. So on Jingxi strategy, first of all, we believe this social group purchase model is definitely a long-term initiative. There is a structural opportunity for JD to further penetrate down to the lower tier market to provide the price-sensitive consumers with more product selections and services, in particular the products within the relatively low price range. And we have strong commitment and desire to explore the huge addressable market opportunity with our Jingxi brand, as I just mentioned. Even though the existing players in the market focus more on traffic operation at this stage, we believe by end of the day, the key to win the game would be the supply chain capability and logistic infrastructure driven by technology. Because only with these core capabilities, we can provide our users with better shopping experience and quality products with better pricing. These are the areas where we have unique advantages and experiences through our 1P business and our logistics business. On one hand, we could leverage our existing supply chain network through our B2C e-commerce business, our long-term relationship with the brands to provide our users with more SKU selection. On another hand, we see this is a business heavily rely on local supply chain, especially for the fresh produce products. It is possible that a platform can quickly build up a nationwide service network, but if it cannot provide the users with competitive pricing and good shopping experience, it can easily be replaced by other platforms as well. So as a supply chain-driven platform, we would not compete on speed with other platforms, but taking a long-term approach through investing in infrastructure, focusing on building our own teams and supply chain. Only the traffic-driven platforms would compete on speed through heavy subsidy. So we will enhance our collaborations with within JD's various business lines to satisfy our users' different shopping demands under different scenarios, leveraging our existing technology and infrastructure as much as possible.
好，我回答一下关于全渠道还有消费品和一些带电的高价值品类的情况。
And this is Xu Lei. I will comment on the omni-channel business and of our FMCG and some high-value products.
正如大家看到的，包括国家有关部门发布的这个网络零售的占整个社零的占比会越来越高。
As you can see from the government release that the online retailing will take a greater part of the overall social retail.
线上的去中心化的情况现在还在加剧，线上也会有更多的一些新的流量场加入到电商行业，而线下的数字化的进程，线下传统零售的数字化进程现在也在提速。
And we have all seen that the decentralized trend continue to grow online, and more traffic platforms are being more active online. And also we see the digital transformation is happening quickly for the offline businesses.
而京东零售，我们的目标其实就是去融入和推动整个中国零售行业的变化和发展。
For the goal of JD Retail is to integrate in these trends and continue to promote the overall development of China's retail industry.
关于全渠道的话，我们正在用先进的供应链的能力，包括数字化的运营和整合营销的能力呢，去在刚才提到的不同场景里面，协同我们的供应商合作伙伴，建立一个适合市场不断变化的一个线上线下多场景多样化的一个新的业务模式。
And in terms of our omni-channel businesses, by leveraging our strong capacities in supply chain, our digitalization capacities, and our integrated marketing capacities, we will put all of these capacities in the use of different consumption scenarios to give support to our merchants and partners to help them to adapt to the changing market environments, and to help them to achieve all kinds of shopping scenarios to satisfy the needs of the customers anytime and anywhere.
而京东呢所具备的这种其他竞争对手来说更加完备的供应链和履约的能力呢，能够帮品牌商在这种复杂的多场景的渠道上面去经营好新的流量场，满足他们的这个消费者需求，我们得到了品牌商的欢迎。
Based on our unparalleled capacities in supply chain and fulfillment, we can better serve our partners in this very complicated industry environment to help them to enter more emerging new traffic platforms. So these have already been welcomed by more and more of our partners.
而线下的传统零售呢，也非常欢迎像京东这样的合作伙伴。我们更多的采用赋能的方式，而不是采用流量收割的方式，大家去共同去打造一个新的满足用户体验的和品牌商的需求的一个生意模式。
And for our offline partners, they have also very welcomed our methods to empower them with our capacities and resources rather than just taking advantage of the traffic. So in this way, we can better serve our business partners and also our consumers in more diversified shopping scenarios.
另外回答一下关于那个消费品的情况。那消费品可以说在去年的疫情的情况下呢，因为京东供应链的优势呢，得到了快速的增长。那么但是今年呢，我们包括年货节，我们也看到我们依然保持了一个非常强劲的增长。
And a comment on the FMCG categories, we can see that these categories achieved accelerated faster growth last year due to the pandemic, thanks to the strong supply chain of JD.com. And this year, it continued a steady growth, especially during the Chinese New Year grand promotion.
那么京东的快消品以及整个大商超这个品类上的消费者的心智已经变得越来越强了。我们在消费者心目中应该是线上的第一大商超的这个形象已经占据了消费者的心智。
And in this category, FMCG and the supermarket-related categories, JD.com has become the go-to or the number one image and branding in consumers' mind share.
同时呢，我们今年呢也发现呢，我们会有一些产品的结构的上行和消费升级的趋势，比如说像母婴这个品类。
At the same time, we also realize the trend of consumption upgrade and the penetration of the sales channels, especially for categories like baby and maternal products.
像 Q1 的话呢，因为有年货节，我们酒这个品类应该是增长非常好的，我们跟品牌商也建立了起来非常好的合作关系，所以说我们应该是大部分酒的品类的最大的渠道了。
And for this quarter, due to the Chinese New Year shopping festival, the alcohol products, the sales performance of alcohol products has been very outstanding. And based on our very close collaboration with our brand partners and reputations of trustworthy and authentic products we have imbued in consumers' mindshare, JD has become one of the largest sales channel for most of the alcohol brands on the Chinese market.
而且我们今年也会关注新兴的消费品牌，活泼的精品品牌，以及加大一些新兴品牌的招商，去适应消费品这个行业发生的趋势变化，去满足更年轻的消费者的需求。
And also this year we will pay attention to help the development of new emerging brands and high quality Chinese brands, and to recruit more new brands on our platform to meet the needs of more and more young consumers.
那关于这个带电的品类呢，应该说这是我们京东的优势品类。那么 Q1 的销售趋势是向好的。
And in the electronics and digital products, this is our advantaged categories. It has kept a very steady growth in Q1.
那么我们今年带电品类的重点应该是去带动和协同整个行业，包括品牌商积极发展的是多单、多场景的全渠道布局，完了后为消费者提供一个极致的购物体验，包括通过服务的升级和渠道转型，帮助传统品牌线下店加速数字化转型。
And for the electronics products categories, the key strategies for us this year is to help the industry and more partners to embrace the omni-channel expansion, to improve the consumers' shopping experience, and also to support our offline partners in their digital transformation through our premier services and our upgrade and or some transformation of our sales channels.
但是在这里面，我想提一点，就是我们也可以看到的是，像通讯电脑行业的全球的上游供应链呢，应该面临着芯片的短缺，会导致整个行业的这种产能的瓶颈，或者是部分零部件的涨价的这个挑战。
Also, I just want to raise this observation that on the personal computers and mobile phones, these industries, it might be affected by the shortage of chip supplies this year. This might be a bottleneck for the supply chain for these categories.
但在这里我想强调3点，第一个是因为我们凭借与供应商保持良好的这种合作关系和多年建立起来的供应链的管理能力，所以说我们在市场上应该是受影响最低的。
So I want to share 3 points upon that. First is that based on our close collaboration with our suppliers and our outstanding supply chain management capacities, JD will be a less affected platform because of the supply chain bottleneck this year.
另外就是我们高效精准的供应链的预测的能力，跟品牌商一起去面对这个现在全球的供应链紧张情况，反而也加深了这个与品牌商的这种更紧密的合作。
And second, we'll have made very precise predictions on the supply chain projections, so we can join hands with our partners to address this supply tension together. And in this process, we even strengthen our collaboration on the supply chain with all our partners.
最后我们也可以看到3C 和家电的整体的产品结构也在逐渐向上。
And thirdly, we also see the consumption is on the upward trend for those consumer electronics and home appliances categories.
好，谢谢。
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and Eddie, to respond to your question regarding the average order value, this is not a key operating metric that we manage on a daily basis, but in Q1, our total order number actually increased slightly faster than our top line, than our GMV growth. So that means the average order value remains largely stable compared to same period last year.
Thank you very much.
Your next question comes from Ronald Keung from Goldman Sachs. Please ask your question.
Thank you, management. Thank you, Xu Lei, Sandy, and team. My question is mostly on our investments and how we see the balancing between growth, our core profitability, and the investments. Given quite a lot of our peers have been saying reinvesting a lot of their profits or all of their profits, incremental profits. So in our case, we've seen a very good balance in the first quarter that we have delivered basically still growth in EBIT, but quite big investments into logistics and new businesses that you've now disclosed separately. So how should we think about that trend, say, into the next few quarters, and how do we think about that balance? And particularly for logistics and new businesses in the Jingxi business unit, if management could share some of those strategies and likely the trends in investment, and how do we think about that? Thank you.
Thanks, Ronald. Let me take this question first. I think first of all, we prioritize growth above the importance of profitability, because across all of our business lines, we are still in high growth stage. But each segment or each business line is actually in different development stage. So we have kind of a differentiated investment strategy. So for JD Retail, we still, you can see that for the first quarter and in the past few quarters, they continue to maintain a high growth rate. And as I mentioned at the call last quarter, we expect that in 2021, our retail business will largely maintain the strong growth momentum from 2020. But with that, because of the scale benefit and operating leverage that we are gradually realizing from our core retail business, our expectation for the longer term margin expectation for retail remain unchanged. So that means we still expect over a longer term period, our JD Retail's net margin will maintain a steady growth trend. So really the underlying margin drivers for JD Retail are the scale economy, as well as the improvement of our 3P ecosystem. I remember I discussed this before. Our procurement cost for many products within the supermarket category is still 3 to 5% higher than the offline retailers. So there is great potential for margin improvement as we grow our scale for this particular category. And we actually have similar situation in many other categories. Our 3P business, as everyone knows, our apparel category was under abnormal competitive pressure in the past few years. If the marketplace business performs better, that will definitely be a driver for margin improvement. Having said that, the longer-term profitability will be affected by the category mix and service revenue contribution. When you build your financial model for the 2021 retail margin, you should also take into consideration that the disrupting factors last year, including the Social Security benefit, right, as well as the lack of marketing and promotion activities in the first half of 2020. This is for JD Retail. Then for JD Logistics, as you can see that JD Logistics is still in a hyper-growth stage, and they continue to invest in infrastructure and network to expand their service offerings and growth potential. Similar to the largest e-commerce platform in the U.S. and other industry peers, the logistic capacity needs to be expanded periodically to support the growth of transaction volume. Our JD Logistics is not only building infrastructure to support our 1P businesses, but also expanding their service scope and capabilities for external customers, where the external revenues actually grew much faster compared to internal revenue. If you look at the margin trend, you should also consider that the logistic industry has relatively higher fixed costs compared to our other business lines. Their profitability would present stronger seasonality due to the promotion of our 1P and their other retail customers. Last, on the new businesses. As Jingxi-Pinpin is still in early development stage, it's quite difficult to depict accurate investment expectation. We focus on building core capabilities and infrastructure rather than gaining short-term traffic through subsidy. Based on our existing supply chain and logistic infrastructure, we require our business teams to deliver a better financial model than the competitors when they were in the similar scale or development stage. So far, our Pinpin business has been growing as planned, with footprint in over 17 provinces, and we are satisfied with the overall ROI. The future investment will depend on the progress of building the capabilities we need for this business and whether we can provide our users with adequate level of customer experience. For the reasons that we can deliver good customer experience, we will invest more resources and further expand the scale. For the regions where the customer experience cannot meet our minimum requirement, we will be more focused on improving the product and service quality before we invest additional resources. It's very dynamic, and we actually assess the budget for spending on a monthly basis because this is such a new business model, and it's very different from the matured business lines where we can relatively manage the profitability in a longer term period. Sure, let's move on to the next question.
Your next question comes from Thomas Chong from Jefferies. Please ask your question.
Hi, thanks management for taking my questions. My question is more about user growth as well as penetration to lower tier cities. Can management share about our strategies on how to further grow our users for this year? After reaching the 500 million milestone. On that front, can you also comment our strategies in lower tier cities penetration this year? Thank you.
OK， 在用户方面呢，今年我们应该跟去年相比的话呢，我们会做得更灵活。这里面包括了两类，一类是我们用户增长的这种拉新的渠道和方式。 另外一个是对成本的动态的控制，成本和质量的动态控制。
And this is Xu Lei. To answer your questions on the users, we will adopt a more flexible approach this year from two aspects. First, we will diversify the channels and the approaches for our new user acquisition. At the same time, we will manage more high quality. We will manage our cost and the quality of the cost in the new users acquisition.
我们整体的用户的增长和运营效率是在提升的，用户转化率呢也比20年和19年都有非常明显的提升。
And in overall, both the numbers of users and the users' operating efficiency continue to grow, and users' conversion rate is also better compared with the performance in 2019 and 2020.
老用户的我们也可以看到新用户的这种质量呢，是持续在改善的。那么复购率和留存率有明显的上升，新用户的 UP 值也是在提升的。
And on the new users, we see the qualities of the new user continues to be improved in terms of their repurchase rates and retention rates, as well as their average spending on our platform.
老用户的各项数据也在变好，包括频次、品类的宽度、UP 和留存也都在提升。我们会继续提升这个用户体验，预计老用户的活跃度会越来越好。
And for our existing old users, their performance is on the right track. And with across the board good performance in terms of their shopping frequencies, the variety of products they choose on our platform, their average spending and retention rates. We will continue to improve their shopping experience on JD.com to improve their further engagement with us.
品类上来说呢，大商超的食品快消这些品类对于新用户的增长的贡献是非常明显的。手机和家电呢也带来了比较好的新用户的增长。那以前我们相对增长一般的美妆和服装呢，在这个季度也得到了明显的改善。
And in terms of the categories contribution to new customers acquisition, our consumer goods such as food, FMCGs, they made the biggest contribution to new user acquisition. And for mobile and home appliances also attracting more new users this quarter. And for our makeup, beauty and clothing categories, which has a weaker appeal in the past, they also did a better job in acquiring new users this quarter.
下沉市场的那个用户呢，还是我们主要的新用户的来源。那 Q1 我们在下沉市场贡献的新用户比例呢，应该首次达到了81%。
For the lower tier market, it continues to be the main source of our new users. In this quarter, the new users coming from the lower tier markets for the first time reached 81%.
那么我们通过不断的这个前端的触点，我们有很多的渠道，包括场景来触达我们的新用户，以及供应链和产品组合的优化，来去为用户做到更精准的人货匹配。
We will continue to expand our touch points with the customers in the lower tier markets by leveraging various sales channels and interfaces with our customers to reach the new users, and also through providing more tailored supply chains and product mix to offer more precise matching of products to the lower tier market users.
我们预计21年将持续目前的这个用户增长的趋势。
And we estimate that the new users growth trend will continue in the following time of 2021. Thank you. Next question, please.
Your next question comes from Alicia Yap from Citigroup. Please ask your question.
Hi, thank you. Good evening, management. Thanks for taking my questions. Congrats on the strong result. I have a question regarding, how should we be thinking about for the second quarter trend. I think Sandy, you previously mentioned, we should look at on the first half growth rate as comparable to the first half last year. So given such a strong performance in first quarter, are we still implying the first half this year will be similar to last year? If that's the case, then it will be implying second quarter only growing at 20% year-over-year. But then given your upcoming 18 years anniversary of this June 18 promotion, it also doesn't sound reasonable. So any color you can give us in terms of the second quarter trend that we should be thinking about? Thank you.
Thanks, Alicia. During the COVID outbreak, had very significant and very different impact on the performance of our various categories last year. For example, if you remember that the home appliance category was extremely weak in Q1 last year, but was extremely strong in Q2 when the pent-up demands were released in April and May. So, when we manage our business internally or think about the trend of our retail business, as I just mentioned, we would either look at the 2-year CAGR or look at the year-over-year growth for the entire first half. Of course, there was also impact from the non-recurring sales of the COVID-related protection products, such as face masks and thermometers last year. I think your understanding is largely correct. We expect the whole year for retail business to largely maintain the growth momentum from 2020. So this includes when we both look at from the 2-year CAGR perspective and look at it from the first half year perspective. We expect to see that the category mix shift will continue. General merchandise category to grow faster than the electronics and home appliance, and in particular, the supermarket and healthcare categories. Advertising revenue will also grow faster than product sales. But this is only for the retail business. If you look at our group as a whole, the other business lines are less affected by the COVID impact last year. So you should also consider the growth of services revenues, in particular the logistics services now contributes a quite significant portion of our total revenue.
We are now approaching the end of the conference call. I will now turn the call over to JD.com's Ruiyu Li for closing remarks.
Thank you, operator. Thank you for joining us on today's conference call. Please feel free to contact us if you have any further questions.
Thank you for your participation in today's conference. This concludes the presentation. You may now disconnect. Good day.